It's fitting that a game about Phoenixborn would be resurrected. 2015's Ashes, Rise of the Phoenixborn was a cult hit for Plaid Hat Games, maybe not rising to the popularity in the general board game crowd as their evergreen titles like Summoner Wars, Mice and Mystics, or Dead of Winter, but the fandom that built around Ashes was dedicated and passionate. Aggressive, thematic, and tonally dark while being vibrant in appearance, Ashes was Plaid Hat's answer to the now 30-year-old CCG problem. How do you make a game like Magic for people who aren't or have lost interest in Magic? How do you solve the myriad of complaints about the mechanical structure, the visual identity, and the overall sales model while still being essentially the same thing? A head-to-head duel driven by a constructed deck where players employ creatures and powers to dwindle their opponent's life to zero. For Ashes, designer Isaac Vega accelerated to the good parts and stripped away one of the biggest sources of casual play frustration. You get to choose your opening hand and thereby can plan on combos right out the gate, and players would rely on a pool of dice to generate the resources used to pay costs rather than rely on resource generation in a randomized deck. Additionally, Ashes takes a step forward from the abstract theme of Magic by making the player character, the Phoenixborn, a starting character in play, representing you and your life total, but also participating as a game element in their own right. The resulting game was innovative and for a time proved successful, but under the ownership of Asmodee, Plaid Hat announced in 2019 that the product line was officially canned. But in less than a year, to everyone's surprise, Plaid Hat announced founder Colby Dowk had reacquired Plaid Hat Games, and while many of the studio's most popular titles would remain with Asmodee, PHG was relaunching Ashes, Summoner Wars, and the Crossroads series. The least radically changed of the three lines, the new Ashes Reborn is essentially the same game as released in 2015, with more care put into balance, consistency, and wording in the new cards, then revising major systems. The new master set includes 6 pre-constructed decks with 6 distinct and heavily thematic playstyles, from direct damage blood magic and homunculi pain dolls to armies of small summoned spirit monsters. And it's good. Still good. Easy to pick up, plenty of possible matchups straight out of the box, the excitement of getting to pick your starting hand still kills, and the pool of dice and simultaneous turns with alternating actions keeps the game feeling distinct, aggressive, and kinetic. But for all that makes it interesting, it still suffers from the same primary flaws as its original. It feels like just another I can make Magic but better release. Sure, it has its own systems and visual identity, and a strong tournament scene can make it a thriving game, but people who want this type of game, a game that demands attention and investment, that relies upon metagaming and communities to make it the best that it can be, they want that thriving, highly competitive scene in place, and very little about Ashes feels distinct enough to drive that large-scale community development organically. And as a standalone box game on a shelf among numerous others, a game you break out a few times a year, the nuance is lost. If you and your group are looking to take on a new single game as a hobby and you want an alternative to one of the most successful and readily available tournament games to ever exist, Ashes Reborn is a great way to get in from the ground up, feeling as familiar in concept as it is innovative and distinct. But as someone whose hobby is playing lots of different games, pulling favorites off the shelf based on the whims of varying playgroups, it's hard to feel inspired. Ashes Reborn is a good one, but unless you and a local community are willing to put in the time and effort to wring out the best it has to offer, it remains just another one of those games. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.